All right, welcome back. You may be wondering why I have the suit on. Well, I had the opportunity to sit in the new media seat at Karoline Leavitt's White House press briefing today. I asked about the affordability crisis. You know how the left is saying we have an affordability crisis, a new favorite word? Well, I put some of that into context, and so did Karoline. Take a look.
Start with our new media seat. Mr. Bolling, it's great to see you here. He's of Real America's Voice. He's also the host of Edge, his interview and commentary podcast. Please, Eric, why don't you kick us off?
Karoline, thank you very much for this, inviting me to the new media seat. As you point out, affordability crisis, it strikes me energy prices have been coming down aggressively since President Trump's second term, approaching $55 a barrel for oil, gasoline, as you point out, under $3 a barrel nationally, first time in 5 years. By the way, that $55 a barrel of oil is about half of the peak under the last 4 years in the last administration, half price. Wholesale prices come down, yet affordability crisis, a lot of the folks in this room, a lot of legacy media, some of the people in the front row seem to want to call this an affordability crisis right now, forgetting the fact that over the last 4 years prior, we hit 9% inflation. Wages, as you point out, were stagnant at best, sometimes had dipped. That's a real affordability crisis there, but they weren't really calling it that then. You point out how President Trump is changing the affordability in America, but how will he ensure that the legacy media doesn't flip the script and change it so that they're using affordability as their word, their idea, versus what the American people who know much better?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, Eric, and it's a point of frustration for the president and for myself. I will say that's part of the reason I just kicked off this briefing today, setting the record straight with facts about the economic mess that the president inherited from his predecessor, Joe Biden. And he's focused on digging our country and our economy out of that hole every day. Things are getting better, and they will continue to. And President Trump understands better than any politician in this city the pain that the American consumer has been feeling for years now because of the last administration's policies. You heard him in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania this past week campaigning and talking to these voters saying, I was elected to fix this problem and I am fixing it. Don't forget who created it, and that's the Democrats.
And then, great answer. And then I asked about whether or not, so they pulled 10,000 CDL drivers, truck drivers off the roads because they couldn't speak or read English, which is great. And I said, are you going to do that? Does that apply to Uber and Lyft and other gig economy companies like Uber and Lyft? And she went into that a little bit too. We were going to show you that, but instead we were going to go to the judge, the courtroom in the Charlie Kirk assassination trial. Let's take a look.
401.01. This gives the court discretion to terminate or suspend electronic media coverage at any time without prior notice, if the judge makes particular findings and that the specific circumstances warrant it. It is our position, the defense position, that there has been a violation of the decorum order. It is our understanding that those live streaming this signed and declared that they would follow the decorum order, and they violated it. So we are requesting a sanction. We believe these court's orders are binding and they need to be respected. We also believe that it threatens my client's right to a fair trial. It's the whole reason we filed a motion in the first place to remove his shackles. It's our understanding that his shackles are visible. It is also our understanding that potentially some audio from counsel table was heard. We are definitely taking more measures on our own to ensure that that does not happen again. But there has also been some filming of computers and materials at counsel's desk. That's entirely inappropriate. And I think everybody in this room will agree that's entirely inappropriate. So we are asking for some remedial measures here. We're asking for it to terminate for today, and we can proceed after that.
Thank you, Ms. Visser. To the state.
Your Honor, the state, as stated earlier, we believe that the court's order was very clear, and if there has been a violation of that order, then we agree that there needs to be some measure taken. We'll leave it to the court to decide the appropriate response to that violation, but we agree that any violation of the court's order needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. To the press, attorneys for the press.
Your Honor, Jeff Hunt for the media interveners. This is the first time that we've heard about the violation. We've not had an opportunity to look at the video or investigate the audio or look at the capture of the computers, but filming of the inadvertent filming of the shackles, I did talk to the pool photographer. My understanding is that there was a zoom out shot that did inadvertently show the shackles. That was improper. That was inadvertent, and we apologize for that. They've taken measures to make sure that the pool video that is disseminated to the rest of the pool does not contain any capture of the defendant in the shackles. We can't do anything about the live stream, of course, but we can control what the rest of the video is that we capture and disseminate. So that is being done. The audio for counsel, my understanding is the only audio that they picked up was from counsel's microphones. I don't have any further information about that and whether that's a violation. Filming of the computers is not a violation of the decorum order. If the capture can show the document that counsel is looking at, then that is a potential violation. So I just don't know how much detail the shot is that is of concern to the court. But I'll just say that we reiterated as soon as I heard this from Mr. Ballard with the pool representatives that this is very important to follow to the letter the court's EMC order. They understand their obligations. They take that very seriously. They're not perfect. Mistakes happen. We're trying to correct as much as we can on that. But we think termination is not an appropriate remedy. An admonishment from this court, a reminder that they need to follow to the letter the court's EMC order is appropriate. That's the message that counsel has delivered to the media representatives and the pool operatives, and we think that is the appropriate remedy.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to make it clear, we're still receiving messages that shackles can be seen on the live stream as we restart it. So it's still a problem.
Thank you. I appreciate all parties weighing in on this important matter. And I find that there was a violation of the standing decorum order that was in effect as of October 30th, 2025, based off what's been proffered, as well as the EMC order signed by the court. As previously stated by Ms. Visser, the court does have discretion in determining whether to terminate the broadcast of these proceedings, and again, if there are specific circumstances warrant such action, that the court would need to make findings in order to do so. I find that excluding the cameras from the courtroom would be disproportionate for this hearing. I find that making it very clear, first, that the transmission cannot begin until court is in session and must end as the court ends the session, and cannot be filmed before or after. The filming of, as previously stated in the decorum order and EMC, must be followed to the letter. The sanction for today is that this camera will be relocated away from defense table to where the bailiff is, where Jeff is standing over here. I want to immediately address any possible transmission of shackles, as previously stated by counsel, and remove the possibility of capture of screens of the computers at defense counsel's table as well. In addition, if there's further violations of the standing decorum order, this court does have the right and will exercise termination of broadcast of these proceedings. And I simply want to put all parties on notice, to the press, to all parties, that this court takes this very seriously. While the court believes in openness and transparency, it needs to be balanced with the constitutional rights of all parties in this case. As such, we will take a brief recess to allow the relocation of the camera and to the place indicated by the bailiff, and then we will resume these court proceedings. I am anticipating this to take perhaps 5 minutes. All right, and then we'll come back on the record and handle the remaining of this hearing. I appreciate the patience of parties as we move forward. We are trying to do the best we
All right, folks, we're watching the, I guess, the pretrial discussion regarding whether or not there'll be cameras in the courtroom for the assassin's trial or the accused assassin's trial. I don't know. Here's my question. Why the hell do we give a damn if you can see shackles? This jerk assassinated a young, vibrant family man in broad daylight, and we're worried about seeing shackles on a camera? I mean, did we not know he's under arrest? Of course we do. The jury knows he's under arrest. It doesn't change anything. The problem with the justice system in America right now, we are giving the criminals more favor, more tools than we're worrying and caring about the victims. This is just another prime example of it. It's just disgusting. We're going to get back to that. As soon as they adjust the camera so you can't see the shackles, this guy better fry. This guy better fry. That's all I have to say. All right, can we just take a look at that second question I had for Karoline Leavitt?
I will just reiterate the Trump administration's position is that truck drivers, particularly those driving big rigs on our nation's road and highways, who have a great responsibility to keep the American public and their fellow citizens safe, should be speaking English and should have an ability to read English proficiently. I think that's a very common sense policy to have, and we've unfortunately seen, and the Department of Transportation has uncovered and is actively working to fix these state-sponsored commercial trucking driver licenses, which were going to people who are not qualified to be driving these massive trucks on American roads, and they're endangering the lives of our fellow citizens. We've unfortunately seen many vehicle accidents across the country where people have lost their lives because of drivers that were just simply unqualified to be driving these trucks.
Yeah, that was in response to the question I said, where there's now been 10,000 CDL drivers, truck drivers, that have been pulled because they couldn't speak or read English properly to be safely operating trucks, big rigs on our highways. And I asked Karoline Leavitt, will the same standards be applied to Uber and Lyft drivers who, I don't know about you guys, but if you've been in an Uber or Lyft, in some cities, there's zero, you can't communicate unless you speak a language, whether it's Spanish or some form of, Muslim or Mediterranean languages. It's incredible. There's no communication. I'm not sure they're able to read the signs or not. The no left turn, do not enter. Are they? I don't know. If they can do it to the big rigs, they should be doing the same thing to Uber and Lyft. That was my question, and she answered it nicely. I think there will be something coming down the pike, but again, thank you to Karoline Leavitt for having me in the new media seat today. Quite an honor. All right, Benny, you got some voicemails for us? We have a few minutes.
Yes, sir, we do. We have a viewer who has some comments about items being made in America.
Eric, Steve calling from Michigan. After watching the Press Secretary today, two things on my mind. One, how do you bypass the corrupt Main Street media to get the word out? Billboards, billboards, billboards across the country reach millions of people. Number two, I'm a patriot as well as a lot of other people that when they go purchase products, they look for made in America, not just manufactured or assembled in America, but 100% made in America. With all the TV ads and all the stuff on the internet nowadays, you don't know what you're buying. So why not pass a law that anything on TV or on the internet must specifically say where it is manufactured or where it is produced, just like you do when you go to buy your clothes or any other product in a store. It's labeled. Other than that, hey, you have a great holiday, and God bless you and all the work you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. And billboards really are effective. I mean, who's not driving? You just can't not read the billboards. That's an interesting concept. Trump's got it going on. He's figuring out. Maybe they'll get to that at some point. Made in America, you're right. There's so many products that say made in America, and they're just assembled here. The individual pieces, the recipe, so to speak, the ingredients are made elsewhere. They're assembled here. Maybe they allow them to do a slap a made in America tag on that. I'm not sure how much has to be, maybe more than 50%. I'm not really sure that number, but good point. Fully, completely made in America. Maybe there's two levels, made in America and completely made in America. Not a bad idea. Benny?
Who has some very nice words for you.
Hey, buddy, I just watched you in the president's briefing room with Karoline Leavitt. You come a long way since Fox News on the 5, guys. Man, you living a life down there. You look great, man. It's Andy Hughes again from Justin Parish, Louisiana. Old Metairie, been down there since 1975 in a damn windy city. And I enjoy you so much. You're doing great, man, living in South Florida with a beautiful wife. I know that state from Escambia County down to Monroe. I lived there 3 different times. I just can't handle it no more. Not enough money to live in that town. But, God, you living good, Eric. You looking great there in that jacket and that white shirt. God bless you, sir. I love you, brother.
You are so awesome, brother. I don't know you, but thank you very, very much for the kind words. Yeah, I did. I was with the original center seat on a 5 over Fox, but I didn't wear a tie there. It's just hard for me to put the suit on after all those years of doing that, but I appreciate it. That was really, really nice. Thank you for that one. What you got, Ben?
We have a viewer who wants Trump to veto the NDAA.
Hey, Eric, this is Ray from Alabama again. I just want to talk about the NDAA. Trump needs to veto this piece of garbage for 3 or 4 reasons. Number one, it allows $400 million a year for the next 2 years for Ukraine, which is ridiculous. And it failed to, it allowed the government to put in a Federal Reserve central and digital currency, okay, which is...
You can come out of it. You want to come out of it? You can come out. We're going to come out of that. Sorry about that, sir. We're going to go back to the Robinson case. Take a look, folks.
And or clarify the publicity order. And I'll hear from all parties. And I know it has been briefed, but in responses, but I'll hear brief argument, and then we can go from there. Mr. Ballard.
Thank you, Your Honor. With respect to this motion, I think as we've expressed in the past, everyone in this room shares the same goal, and that is to ensure that there's a fair trial that happens in this case. And we recognize that the court's pretrial publicity order is intended to further that goal. And again, as I've stated before, the state plans to try this case once. The state is also committed to complying with its ethical duties with respect to pretrial publicity. We have complied with those duties. We will continue to comply with those duties. The issue we bring before the court here is that there's one portion of the pretrial publicity order that can be interpreted to reach beyond those ethical requirements and have the effect of being what would be an unlawful order, an unlawful prior restraint on speech. And our goal, therefore, is to get an order that's clear, that's lawful, and that the state has the ability to comply with. And the issue with the order that the state has is the use of the term witnesses in the order. We believe that term's vague and ambiguous. Does it mean anyone with relevant information about this case? Does it just mean those people that are going to be subpoenaed to testify in this case? Or is it limited to just the prosecution team? And I think as we've expressed in our filings, we believe that the court intended that term just be limited to the prosecution team because that